How does America's commitment to fostering free liberal democracy still apply today? Are the cries of the oppressed still enough to rouse American action?
During 2015, Germany admitted over 1 million refugees, many of whom were fleeing the war in Syria. They arrived by the busloads each day. Men, women, entire families are ushered into these reception areas to begin the long process of registration and eventually integration into German society. Haman and his wife and 2 small children fled their home when the violence became too much to bear. Shortly before leaving Syria, Haman was struck in the back by a stray bullet.
قبل كان الوضع بسوريا يعني ممتاز، يعني ما كان في شيء يعني أمان يعني. هلا الوضع بسوريا حرب وما عاد فينا نأمن نبرك بيوتنا، ما عاد فينا نأمن. هي شغلة، وشغلة ثانية إنه بيوتنا راحت يعني ما عاد في محل نبرك فيه وما عدنا نأمن على حالنا ولا على الأولاد يعني حتى. هلا أول شيء نحن مشتاقين للبيت بشكل عام كمنزل يعني والاستقرار اللي كنا فيه في المنزل.
سوريا ما في مثلها يعني، وهواها ميتها ترابها صباحها كل شيء حلو بسوريا. وبيتي يعني فيها كل ذكرياتي.
لا أصعب شيء كان هو من تركيا لليونان هو البحر يعني، هو أصعب شيء لأنه في كتير ناس عم تغرق يعني اللي نحن عم نطلع فيه وسيلة النقل هو البلن، يعني بوصل 2 بغرقوا 4.
The Middle East is considered by some to be the graveyard of empires. Does it make sense for the US to remain involved there?
You know, it would be lovely if the Middle East played by Las Vegas rules. What happens in the Middle East stays in the Middle East, but it doesn't. And we're seeing that every other day of the week, from San Bernardino to Brussels to Paris to Orlando. That's why the United States has to be involved. Now, how it's involved, to what degree, that's a separate question. But the idea that we can simply pivot away from the Middle East, that we can let the Middle East stew, as it were, in its own juices and imagine that it will not affect us, has been disproved by the events of the last few years, disproved very decisively. From the refugee crisis to the ISIS crisis to the crisis of credibility, all of that comes out of the Middle East and of our diffidence in involving ourselves decisively, prudently, and intelligently.
Syria is dead. There is no Syria. I think at a very early stage in Syria, the United States could have co-opted the moderate opposition, armed them, given them uniforms and arms, and supported a moderate opposition, which was mainly a secular opposition. So had the United States supported these people, they were then in favor of democracy.